Okay, Week to Warrior, here we go. So I am going to be doing a live reaction video to this guy's story, how he cured his insomnia. Before I do this, I just want to be very forthright. I don't want to make fun of this guy at all. Anything I say is just my reaction, as we all watch videos on YouTube, we all watch people's stories, we all kind of like react in our head. I'm just doing that out loud. This guy's very brave for putting his story out there. It's really hard to put your story out there. I don't know what he's going to say because I haven't seen this. It's an authentic reaction video, but it's hard to put your story out there. So, thumbs up to this guy, and I'm just going to react. And this is just how I react, and hope it is helpful to you.
Sleep is so important. I don't even have to demonstrate the science to back that up. Everybody who's ever had a really bad night's sleep knows that your whole day is ruined if you don't get enough sleep. People who don't have insomnia don't know how bad it can get. Lying in bed.
Yeah, people who don't have insomnia don't know how bad it can get. It's just such a unique form of torture. You can only really understand if you got it.
Basically all
Like literally like all night, like lying in bed all night, like nights at a time. Like it's just the whole world sleeps, so you're just awake while the whole world sleeps. I alienated.
night sometimes just praying to be able to fall asleep. Well, I know a little bit about that. Throughout most of my life, I used to have problems with insomnia, and I looked at different solutions, some good and some bad. And finally, I found a trick in a book that cured all my problems forever. Okay, so before I tell you the solution that cured my insomnia, I just want to give you the full story so you know how I got there. But if you're really busy and you just don't have the time to listen to me talk about my sleeping issues, then I fully understand if you would just want to skip ahead to the part where I tell you how I cured it. I just want to give you a full picture, that's all. But I still urge you to watch the whole thing because it's sort of a hint to understand why the solution worked for me. When I was a kid, my uncle used to show me horror movies like Friday the 13th, Alien, Nightmare on Elm Street, and so forth. He was a big fan and thought I would enjoy them too. And I sort of did, but I also became very afraid of the dark. I used to have nightmares, and I used to sleep under my covers and sweat half the night. When I got older, my fear of the boogeyman disappeared, but for some strange reason, the insomnia continued. Boogeymans and I used to have nightmares, and I
So
used
you used to have nightmares. Okay, I used to sleep under my covers and sweat half the night. That's all. I've had that too, and I can't sleep, just sweating. And it wasn't a fear thing. It was just like a dysregulation thing. Kidney dysregulation, HPA, cyst dysregulation, night sweats. There's a lot of things that cause it. Lack of zinc, but lots of things. Lack of salt. I won't go into this video, but maybe he's just experiencing insomnia. It might not have just been from the movies. But let's go on.
used to sleep under my covers and sweat half the night. When I got older, my fear of the boogeyman disappeared, but for
It's also interesting, like why his HPA axis is dysregulated, so he becomes hyper stressed out at night. I feel like he's just experiencing insomnia, and maybe potentially misattributing it to the movies the world is.
For some strange reason, the insomnia continued. Looking back at it, I think that the bed became a source of anxiety, and I had
I was never really anxious about the bed. I was anxious about like my life getting messed up because I couldn't sleep. The bed was like still relaxing to lay down. So I also had insomnia. I slept on the floor too. So
problems in school because I was so tired and couldn't keep up. This problem even followed me into adulthood when I started working, and I got so tired some
it's
days.
really common too. I've had hundreds of people, clients and non-clients, just people who've contacted me, who I've talked to, who have like book sessions or whatever, tell me this all the time. Very, very, very common.
That I slept in the workplace bathrooms. That is actually how tired I was. I tried sleeping pills and they sort of worked, but they made me hallucinate. And they affected my memory and I could forget entire evenings. So I knew that pills were not the solution, at least not for me. And so I bought books on the subject of insomnia and I tried to fix this problem once and for all. I even remember
Yeah, I
this
bought
one
a lot of books on the subject of insomnia.
time not being able to fall asleep, and I decided to read one of those books until I would fall asleep. And I managed to read the entire book throughout the night. There were a lot of good tips from the books, but most of them just
I
didn't
spent most of the nights I couldn't sleep just reading studies on insomnia, reading people's stories on insomnia, trying to figure it out. So I relate there.
do it for me. I tried the whole not drinking coffee after 4 p.m.
I'm drinking kombucha right now, and I'm gonna sleep great because I actually fixed my insomnia. It's not that.
because I figured maybe caffeine was the reason, but it didn't help at all. And then I have this embarrassing story. I
No, caffeine did make my fatigue worse when I wasn't sleeping and I had insomnia. Caffeine's only really good if you're sleeping.
read that people who suffer from insomnia develop anxiety when going to bed, so the trick is not to sleep in the bed for a couple of weeks, but instead try something else that isn't associated with
I think
anxiety.
these things will kind of work for temporary periods of time. When I go on vacation, I sleep like the first night of vacation. But that was just, I think it's a novelty thing. I think novelty, but even that wasn't always reliable. So, or even usually reliable. So, but novelty has interesting effects on our metabolism.
So I tried to sleep on the living room couch a couple of nights, and it worked. It actually worked. I managed to fall asleep for several weeks in a row. Anxiety was a definite cause of the whole thing. But then this one night, I got up, I went to the bathroom to pee, and I noticed something strange while doing it. I felt this very warm feeling down my legs. Turned out, I was just dreaming. I guess you could say it was sort of a wet dream. And finally, the solution. I was about to quit the whole idea that I will ever be able to cure my insomnia. But then I read this one trick in a book that actually worked and has worked for me for the last 10 years of my life. The book basically said, forget about 8 hours sleep, forget about going to bed by 10 p.m., forget about all the right and wrong when it comes to sleeping. Just do this. Go to bed when you are tired. That's it. Seriously. Even if you aren't tired until 2 a.m., stay up until you feel tired. When you go to bed when you are tired, you have no problems falling asleep. It's
I
when
tried this, it didn't work at all. But I'm glad it works for him.
you lie in the bed forcing yourself to sleep when you run into problems.
This guy has definitely not ever stayed awake for like days or weeks, like weeks at a time. So I think he just doesn't really have that bad of insomnia. Which I mean, I've like run into people who aren't me who've been up for like a week at a time, week and a half at a time. It's common. It's common. So I don't know if his insomnia is just very mild, so you can just kind of live with it. But yeah, I think this is like I call this like the insomnia death cult because when I adopted this mentality, my health got way worse because I just despaired because I was like, oh, not only am I not sleeping for weeks at a time, but there's no end in sight, I'm gonna die. So I think this is just basically like survivor's bias of people who don't have that bad of insomnia, just being like, and I learned to live with it, and then like meanwhile, 9 of the people who were standing next to them were just mowed down. They're like, no, it worked for me. It's like, okay, but survivor bias because it wasn't. I mean, like there's nothing else in life that giving up fixes. Let's keep
Yeah, okay, Tommy, but if you went to bed at 2 p.m., then you were like dead tired the next day, right? Well, actually,
I
no.
think he's getting to bed at 2 a.m. Like that wasn't happening for me when I had insomnia. It just wasn't happening at all.
Your body will adjust itself to your needs. Next night, your brain will go into a deeper sleep and catch up what is lost the night before. The trick here is to remove the idea of choosing to sleep because this is the part
I I think people. So I definitely lost my mind when I had insomnia, and I feel for him because he's clearly lost his mind as well. Just hear the incoherent babble.
That gives you anxiety, and the harder you try to sleep, the less likely you will be able to. Oh, and another tip. If you go to bed and can't fall asleep, get up instantly.
Does this advice actually help anyone? Like, please let me know who this helps.
Go and chill in the living
And then
room.
let me know how bad your insomnia was. Like, how many nights of 0 minutes of sleep have you gotten? Like, I'm just talking like, what's the longest number of hours you've been up? Because I've been up for a month straight. So if you haven't been up for like a week straight, at least 5 days straight, I don't think you really have insomnia.
Read something.
At least not like, I mean, you do have insomnia, but like, there's levels to it, man. I mean, God bless this guy. I'm glad he's not like suffering horribly. Again, this is a reaction. This is my reaction. Like, I'm, God bless him. Like, God bless him for making this video. Like, very hard to do. God bless him. He's doing wonderful things by putting his story out there. But it's just not a particularly helpful story for me because, like, holy cow.
Watch TV, have a snack. The idea here is to get the sleep anxiety out of your head
Yes, insomniacs are afraid of sleeping. Does that make sense?
and out of your bed. Once you forget about it,
Victim blaming. It's like you can't sleep because you're afraid of sleeping. I hate that. Like I just hate that because it frames it like it's like the person who's like someone's like voluntarily doing that to themselves. It's like it's kind of sick. Like it really does frame it like, at some level. They're like choosing that. Kind of makes me. I mean, like I just doesn't really make me angry because it's just a video, but like it's crazy.
you will grow tired and you can try again. This is what has worked for me for the last 10 years of my life. I followed these two simple rules. One, go to bed when tired, and two, get up if you can't fall asleep. That's it.
I also wonder what his testosterone levels are because I wonder if his acceptance of I wonder if his testicles accepted his insomnia the way he did, and if they continue to produce nice high levels of testosterone despite massively insufficient sleep. I'm just curious. I don't buy this.
Simple, effective, and undoubtedly true. Let me know in the comments section if you have insomnia issues, what worked for you, and what hasn't. I would love to know your experience. Oh, and I just have one extra tip: power naps.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I couldn't even take a power nap when I had insomnia. Like, what the deuce is this guy talking about? This is like I feel like I'm like these. I'm like, did you even have insomnia for real? Like, did you? You're like, oh, just take a power nap. The solution to insomnia is to sleep. If I could sleep, it's live reaction. I wouldn't have insomnia. Again, this is where I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't. God bless him, but I just don't get it at all.
Take a power nap almost every evening just after I eat dinner, and it really gives more energy to my evenings, and it doesn't ruin my sleep at all. Just keep it short. 20 minutes power nap is wonderful. Okay, if you want to support this project, I also do have other.
Okay, so that's a wrap for that. But like, hashtag people who don't really have insomnia. Like, how about like when I have clients, I'll just tell them, yeah, guys, just take a power nap. You know, that's the solution to your problem. You need to sleep. That's the problem that you can't sleep. I don't know. Well, God bless him though. I mean, like I'm glad that he's putting his story out there. He's trying to help people. I guess. If he gives some people hope, if he helps some people, he probably does help some people. Some people probably have whatever issue he had that probably wasn't insomnia. I don't know. Um, or maybe he just has mild insomnia and just has some weird thing around accepting. Just accept the fact that you're broken and will suffer your whole life. Everyone suffers. Carry yours happily. Nah, not me. I like to have nice big balls, lots of testosterone, and feel good.